Welcome. I am Bianca Page.
Hey, and I'm Kenneth Page. What's going on, everybody?
And we are the founders of TheCoreofU, the community of restoration and enlightenment. And our mission today is to help uplift quarantine couples. And that does not just mean married. It's people vibing together, living together, relating with one another, and just trying to make it through these times. We want to thank our sister Danielle Page. That was her song.
Yeah, her new single, New Day, which will be out. We thank her so much for that. And we thought it important during this time, being quarantined in the house with each other. You know, we're spending more time with one another. The kids, they're getting on our nerves. We're getting on each other's nerves. All of those things that are going on during this time. And we just want to, give a little encouragement, give a little hope to you and your relationship with your significant other, to let you know you're not alone. We sometimes are sitting over there in the corner looking at one another with them eyes, just cutting them because things are so crazy and stress and all of that. You can't get out, can't get your hair cut. Ladies can't get their hair done, can't do all of these things that we want to do. But we just want you to stay encouraged and to stay hopeful that this will last as long as it's going to last. But it's up to us individually as people in relationship with one another to make the best of our relationship, make the best of our marriage. We were looking at something the other day that said domestic disputes are up during this time. Domestic violence and disputes are up. And when Sunday came and it was the whole world was celebrating Easter and what was called, Resurrection Sunday, Wifey had an amazing idea that said, let's talk about resurrecting our relationship.
And we have 11 years in the game together. 8 of those married, but we were working on the marriage spiritually before we ever even got to the altar. And for those of you who have more years in the game than us, kudos. And maybe we can help add new vigor to what you already have going. Resurrect means to make alive, add new vigor. And we thought about resurrect. We were in the bed one morning and kind of just nipping at one another, going back and forth. And right in the middle of it, I said, babe, let's talk about what we are doing right. Let's just change the whole direction of this conversation. And he started saying things to me that he noticed, like, I noticed that you're doing work and teaching the kids right now. I noticed that you are trying to keep yourself looking good despite the fact that we're in the middle of this pandemic. And it changed the whole vibe of our conversation exponentially. It's like we went completely in the other direction. And I told him how I just honored how he was getting up every day, still going in right now, although it's scary just being a provider for our family and still coming home trying to take the load off of me. And it was like right in the middle of our bickering, we were able to stop and reverse it, completely reverse it, and come to a healthy resolution of that conversation.
Yeah, and I thought it was important to me because I'm at work every day, going in, and it's a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty at work. So when I come home, the last thing I need is for my significant other, for us to be upset with one another, right? The last thing we need is for us to be bickering and to be fighting and to be, just not getting along. And I said to her, what if, something crazy happens? Let's get crazy about this. What if there is like zombies that start coming or something like that, and they start trying to attack during this time? The last thing we need is for her to have her hands folded like, I ain't getting in the car with you. I'm going to stay here and I'm grabbing both of the children. That's the last thing we need. The last thing we need is for us to not be getting along, especially during this time. We pay too much money for our home and mortgages and for children and for school and for clothes and for all of this house to look nice and for us to not have peace. If you don't have peace anywhere else, the one place you should get peace is in your home. So that's why we wanted to talk to you today just a little while. We're not going to bore you too long and be here all day, but we just want to just talk over a few things that hopefully that you're able to maintain your yeah, right, Auntie, I said zombies. That we just want to be able to make sure that you're able to maintain your peace in your home. Are you really doing that? And that comes from effective communication. We noticed that our communication with one another sometimes, and listen, we weren't using words like divorce and getting crazy and being disrespectful to one another. But when you're not used to spending this amount of time with your significant other, you can start to kind of nitpick and get on each other's nerves. And there's certain things about them that you thought you loved that you like, I'm not sure if I really like that anymore. And so, just these little things. And God forbid if you were already not doing, your relationship already wasn't healthy, then this time you're really going to be hurting, really going to be in trouble. So we just want to just talk to you a little bit about effective communication. And one of the ways that Wifey said that we can have some effective communication with one another was to write a letter to one another. Babe, you can...
it was powerful. So basically I said, let's write a love letter to one another. As part of that, we're going to celebrate, obviously, what we adore, what we admire about the other our partner. But then, as part of that, I also challenged us to say, what can I do better? What can I do better to support the relationship? And why I thought that was so important is because oftentimes in relationships, and we do couples coaching, and that's something else we want you to know. We have coached several couples that we have individually married off as ministers of the Spiritual Israel Church in His Army, as well as part of our core ministry, the Community of Restoration and Enlightenment. And there's people that's been pushing us like, y'all need to get out there. Shout out to Tasha Champion, Priscilla Smith, Danielle Page, Valerie Curry, because they've been pushing us to get back out here, talk about it. So I said, a lot of times when I'm in that mindset of arguing, I'm looking at what you're not doing right, what I want him to do better. But when you force yourself to say, how am I going to show up better in this relationship, and be thoughtful about it, have to write it down on paper, then you come to the table more vulnerable. You come to the table not saying, what is it that you can do to make me happy, but how am I going to show up a better person in this relationship? Yeah. So that's what we wanted. That's why we're like, first off, when you're writing it, you have to take a moment to pause and be thoughtful.
Right.
Next, then you have to think about, you got to turn the look in and say, how can I be better? So from the male point of view, how did it feel for you? We read our letters to one another last night.
Right.
He was the first to write his on Monday. I wrote mine on Thursday, right?
Right.
Or Wednesday. And I sent it to you. And we said, okay, we're going to read them to one another.
Right. Well, and for me, she's the writer. She writes, that's her thing. She writes. And so but it took me out of my comfort zone, but it started to feel really good, because as I started to write the different things to her, and the things that she meant to me, and seeing her, because she is, even though she's still working remotely, she's working from home. So she's working and she's watching the children. So when I get home off of work, then I try to take over and get the children. And then sometimes then she's still cooking dinner. And so I started just thinking about all of these things that she was doing. And I'm like, wow, the last thing I need to be doing as her significant other, as her love, is to come home and to bring more stress, and just nitpick about whatever, or just arguing about whatever. Leave work at work and let work do what it does, but come home and make sure. So I started writing. I just started writing all the things that I've been seeing her do while she's been home, and how I just appreciate her as a mother to our children. I appreciate her as a wife to me. And I said, like I said, y'all see her, she's just looking beautiful, keeping herself up, looking good, smelling good when I'm coming in. She's been cooking. The children have been in a good place, good space. The house is peaceful when I get in. All of these things. And then I'm like, okay, where can I do better? And we try to not talk in the negative. We always try to talk in the positive. So it wasn't like, no, you're wrong, you're not this, you're not that, you're bad, you're not this, you're not that.
What am I doing wrong?
Or what am I doing wrong?
What can I do better?
Exactly. Not what am I doing wrong. It's just what can I improve on? What can I do better? We always try our best. We don't always get it right, but we try our best to stay speaking to each other and our children and over our lives in the positive. When you speak over the positive, what can I do better? Then the responsibility is on you. And when you put the responsibility on you, then you have more work to do and you got to be better for yourself. Then you got to say, okay, I got to bring more to the table to make sure that I'm not causing conflict in the house.
Right.
Go ahead.
And I was bawling, simply put, y'all, when he started reading the letter. And we actually had a deep conversation before the letters. And when we get into our coaching with couples, we'll take you there. But we were talking about like how we're feeling right now. And that's where I want to encourage you guys every day. Check in and don't just, babe, how you doing? All right. No, we've actually tried to have dinner together a couple nights a week, sitting at the table. And studies have actually shown during this time that that's heightened mood levels exponentially. Right. We actually had professional coaches come into our workplace via Zoom right now and talk about different ways to help improve moods, deal with depression, deal with stress. And that was one of the things they said, have dinner with your family. So we have a blended family here with our brother-in-law, our children, and we actually ate a meal together on Sunday. Our children loved it. We were able to check in with one another, but also monitoring yourself. Are you eating less or more? Are you drinking less or more? I've noticed like my body is having reactions to the stress that I'm not necessarily putting to words. I'm thinking I'm handling it, right, but I do have some things that just are out of balance, which lets me know there is some level of stress. So we're trying to be purposeful about checking in daily because things can change daily. Today he had a very kind of chaotic work day. Right. And that is important so that you don't gloss over it. I think he said something to me like he came in and wanted some loving and he looked at me and was like, it's not gonna happen today. The way that I guess the way I was, my mood on my face.
Yeah, you was too stressed out from the day. So I mean, and fellas, you know how we are. You know, we want our loving, we want to do our thing, our little physical touch and all that. But the ladies want to feel safe. They want to feel good. They want to feel secure. They want to feel not stressed out and all of those things going on in their head and their mind because it takes away. And it's so crazy because it takes away from the way they feel about themselves. Not necessarily how, because I'm like, girl, you look good. Get on over here, girl, and kiss me and all this stuff. But if she's not feeling that, then she's not going to want to go to that level, to that place with me. So we got to make sure that we stay intentional about and with our actions. Stay intentional. You know, not always reacting, but sometimes being proactive, you know, and checking in. Like she said, you know, in our conversations, what we're really trying to do is sit down and really talk to one another. Because you'll find yourself during this time, quarantine couples, you'll start to talk at one another instead of talking to or with one another. And you'll find yourself, you know, doing and saying things and thinking thoughts that's not good. And then the next thing you know, you're on the outs or the relationship is not good. And you don't want to be that. You don't want to do that during this time. And
y'all, you know, for those of y'all who know me professionally, I have a legal background, and my lawyer friends, we're talking about there is going to be an upsurge in divorces if we don't hedge ourselves in. So since we know, look, we read an article, the United Nations is actually calling for urgent response to the level of domestic violence that they're seeing, domestic disputes that they're seeing worldwide, specifically tailored toward women and abuse that they might be experiencing. And so we, knowing this, we wanted to just share with our family, our core family, our spiritual family, our natural family, like, let's hedge ourselves in now. Let's get ahead of it. Let's be proactive instead of reactive. So we noticed an uptick in some of our bickerings, and having that conversation last night, we had bickered about some of those things, but having an intentional conversation before we shared our letters we didn't necessarily come to a specific resolution, and you're not always going to come to a resolution. But if you can come to a place where you can get through the conversation without an argument, that's progress.
Right.
If you can get through the conversation and say, we may not have it all figured out, but at least we know we want to.
Right.
And then we read our letters. And what was your reaction to the letter reading?
So I thought it was powerful. I thought it was really powerful. I really took time to, we got to a good place because we were able to put the children down, so we have a 3 and a 5-year-old. So you who have children out there, you know how that is. So we were able to get them down, get them settled. And then once we got them down and we got them settled, we were able to kind of look into each other's eyes, I guess, for, if that's what you want to call it, and take some time. And as she read her letter to me, I was like, wow, it made me feel good. Gave me that reassurance, okay, I can go back out tomorrow and go back to work and understand that, I'm helping provide. And, we both provide for the family and for my home. It just made me feel good. Gave me a little more strength, a little more courage. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, okay.
He sees me.
Yeah. And that's what you want to know. You want to know in your relationship that the other person sees you and that they hear you. They may not know exactly what you're feeling all the time. So that's why it's important for you to articulate it. And we talk about this all the time because sometimes, when in past, I would say to her, in my relationship, sometimes with women or stuff like that, it seemed like they wanted me to be like psychic or something to know what's going on. I would rather you just tell me. Don't assume. Now, because we've been in a relationship now for the time that we have, there are certain things that I just know. Like I know her body language. I know how she feels. I know her moves. I can tell by just the way her shoulders are up or down, whether or not she's in a good place or whatever, or just spiritually, sometimes I can feel that and sense that from her. But I don't know everything. So tell me what's going on. And if I say, hey, how was your day? Then, fellas, we can't just say, hey, how was your day? And then ignore it or, looking at whatever is on the TV or whatever we're doing. Actually listen to what she's saying. And if I don't understand, I'll be like, well, babe, you said, this. Well, I need you to explain that to me. What does that mean? Why did you feel like that? Or what did that mean to you? Okay, well, how can we work on getting that better? And guess what? I know as men, we try to fix everything. I know we do. But guess what? We can't fix everything. And she will say to me, listen, you can't fix this. I just need you to be here and listen to me. And I'm like, all right, babe, I'm going to listen. And I'm going to listen effectively. And we'll talk about it. And our hopes that you can find a better place to feel better about whatever it is that you're going through, because I can't fix it. We can't fix everything. In relationships, her happiness is not my responsibility. My happiness is not her responsibility. I have to show up every morning wanting and intentionally to be happy. To decide that I'm going to be happy. She has to come every morning, wake up and say she wants to be happy. It's not fair for her to put that responsibility on me. That's her responsibility. It's not her responsibility for her to make me happy. I have to show up and be happy on my own. And then once I show up and I'm happy and she's happy, then my responsibility is just make sure that I don't do anything to disrupt her happiness.
And that was why we want to hear from you guys too. And that's why we urged people to say, what could you do better? Because that's part of you being responsible and self-aware of your happiness. And one of the things we want people to know from coaching, and we'll just give a little tidbit, is like, it's not about coming there to say, what can I make my partner do better?
Right.
It's about saying, what do I want to do individually to make this situation better? How do I want to make myself better? And then how can we have a collective goal to get better as a unit?
Exactly.
And push ourselves to the next level, up level. So we'd love to know if any of the couples out there wrote the love letters to one another. We have put it out there on IG. We do want you guys to follow us on Instagram at TheCoreofU, TheCoreofU, the core of letter U, and we're also on Facebook. But we are doing this live from Ken's account because he has the followers and people, and we're just a new ministry trying to get that going.
Right.
But we have a love for for just people and couples, and we really want to see people thrive. We do the research, we do the reading, we do the work, and we want to help others do the work. So this was an assignment. If you didn't do it, you have to try it. We want you to write your significant other a love letter. That old art that they used to do back in the romantic movies. Write them a love letter. And there's no rules on how long it has to be. Right. But just, of course, the love letter is one of adoration, one of positivity. Why are you in this with them? What do you see them? Let them know that you see them. Right. And then, as you close that letter out, explain how you're going to show up in this relationship as the best version of you, or a better version of you, what you can do better. I was bawling, y'all. I went into ugly cry last night. I went into ugly cry, which some would say, well, B, that's just you. But having the children changed me, so I'm a little harder now. But it really softened me. It really just, and what we found is that our letters spoke to one another.
Right,
we wrote them 3 days apart.
Right.
We wrote them separately, and we spoke to one another. Even some of the things we had kind of been nitpicking at one another, we on our own said, this is what I want to do better. This is how I want to show up better. I hear you. I know what I want to do, but it was so beautiful to say, like, this is what I desire to do on my own. So if you haven't done it, do it. I am a crybaby. And if you have done it, we'd love you to share with other couples, let them know your experience, and give them this tip. It may help somebody through a rough moment. And you may even want to try the other tip of, in the middle of an argument, stop and somebody be the bigger person and say, what's going right? What's going right now?
That's tough. Right in the middle of a disagreement, just stop. Catch yourself. One of you catch the other one, because one of you are going to be trying to go there and get each other back, whatever's going on. Just stop right in the middle of that disagreement. Stop right in the middle, and one of you say, what can we do better? What can we do better? Or don't say we, or you say, what can I do better? So if it's the men, if it's the woman, whoever it is, what can I do better? What can I do better? You know, it's crazy because, and some of you are saying and talking about the love letters and stuff like that. And we have some people on that have been married for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Fellas, when was the last time you wrote your boo a love letter? When was the last time you wrote the woman that you're sitting next to right now? Or maybe she's in the kitchen, or maybe she's still on her way home from work if she's part of the essential workforce. When was the last time you wrote her a love letter? Seriously, just sit down and just write it. I don't know, throw some Keith Sweat on in the background, some Luther Vandross or something.
Your theme music.
Yeah, and just write before the punch. Write it before the punch. Don't write it after the punch, Rich, because it might not be right. You might not remember what you're writing. People are saying things, so we're just responding, but we're just here to let you know that you're not alone, that all of us are experiencing different emotions and different things during this time. We all are having different feelings about your significant other or yourselves, or maybe this whole pandemic, whatever they've been calling it, pandemic, epidemic, whatever it's called. Maybe this whole thing just has you stressed and you just really don't understand. You really just don't know where you want to go, what you want to do. You're not certain. Your significant other, hopefully, prayerfully, they are there to help you during this time to at least balance you out. You know, I say this all the time. The greatest, and you know what, it's so important for right now. The greatest aspect of being in a healthy relationship, the greatest aspect of it is that I don't have to face the craziness and the wildness and the just craziness of this world on my own. I don't have to face it on my own. I have somebody that's sitting across from me, sitting next to me, walking beside me, whatever it is that we're doing, and I'm not doing it on my own.
So let's leverage that. Let's leverage the fact that if you have someone you are in relationship with, that you can help one another, you can build one another during this time. The last thing we want to do is undercut. And it's okay to acknowledge what I just did wasn't healthy. It's okay to acknowledge if you didn't show up as your best self in that moment. If we can get better at that, it helps leaps and bounds. Just to be able to say, I acknowledge that I can do better.
And it would, and guess what? And we think, I told you guys before, we have a 3 and a 5-year-old. We think that they don't know. They are very intelligent, very intuitive. They know if mom and dad are not getting along. Don't play your children short. Don't play. Those little souls are watching. They are soaking up. My former pastor, God rest his soul, Bishop Alan Cox, used to say all the time, they're little sponges. They are just soaking up everything, and they know mom and dad's energy. They know if dad comes in and pats mom on the behind a little bit and gives her a kiss, and today dad didn't do that, and they're watching that, and they're saying, why didn't dad do that? Why didn't dad touch mom today? What was going on? Why was mom's energy off? And they kissed, but it wasn't, it was just like, it was something in that. They know, our children know, they know what's going on. They're paying attention. They're feeling it. And so we want to make sure that we're creating a healthy environment for them. Why do we want to do that? Because one day they're going to be adults. Long time from now. But they're going to be adults one day. They're going to be in relationships. We want them to show up as their best version of themselves in their relationships. And I know you're saying, well, they're just 5 and 3. We shouldn't be thinking about that right now. But actually, we should be, because they're modeling everything that they're seeing. I posted a video one time of my son. We affectionately call each other babe around the house, right? And my son was at the bottom of the stairs. He was like 2 years old, 2 years ago. He was like two. He was one, a little bit, and he was calling to my wife, and he was saying, babe, babe, babe. Babe, and she was upstairs, and he was just screaming, and he didn't realize that she was actually gone. I actually happened to be home that day from work. She was gone, and he didn't realize it. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, it touched me that he was calling out to her babe, not mom. What if I was disrespectful to my wife in the home? What if I called her all kinds of disrespectful names and, stuff that's just ungodly, things that you wouldn't call your own mama, right? What if I did that? He would be mimicking that. He might be calling her that. And God knows I don't want my son, talking to her that way. So why would I? Why would I talk to her and treat her any other way that I wouldn't want my son to do to his significant other one day, or to her when I'm not around, because he'll mimic the same thing when I'm not around.
And you touched on something important, and we're not going to give it all away, but just we model. That is how most people learn to communicate, and that's something we touch on in our coaching, because nobody except intentional communication majors or somebody that's in newscasting is really taught to communicate.
Right.
We model. So that's especially important during this time, because our children, our loved ones, they're watching us. So we want to take questions from you guys. We want to take questions. If anybody wants to throw something at us that you're experiencing, this is not the last time we're going to do this. We're going to keep coming at you guys with little tips and things that we want you to do to just be healthy and show up as your best version during this time and hopefully beyond. The song says a new day. We all are experiencing a new normal, and there is going to be certain things that just will not be the same after this pandemic. We will all come out survivors and claiming that. And on the other side of that, I want our relationships to survive.
Yeah, I pray and hope that on the other side of this, when we get out, when we're back going to games and playing outside and just being able to hang out, and man, I don't know about you, just missing being able to go over, my family's house and see them or whatever and do all these things, right? I hope and pray that our relationships will be stronger on the other side of this.
Yes.
We know that the news and that, they're predicting that a lot of relationships are not going to make it. But man, I really hope, and we really are going to try to encourage and to just push for your relationship to make it. So as Wifey was saying, reach out to us at TheCoreofU. If you have any questions, we do Zoom coaching sessions now. We love doing live coaching sessions. We do phone coaching sessions if that's what you would like. We call it coaching, not necessarily counseling. It's more coaching because it's we trying to do things to give you action items, goal-oriented items that you, and it's catered to you and your relationship. Everybody's relationship is not the same. People's relationships are different. People respond differently to different things. So we will talk to you one-on-one individually about things like that. So follow us on IG and Facebook at TheCoreofU. That's just the letter U, Core, CoreOFU. Follow us. Let us know if you have any questions, if you have any things you want to talk about. We are here. We're ready.
And we'll answer any live questions now if you guys have them.
We have a few more minutes if anybody, because like I said, we didn't want to hold you on all night long. We thank you for all of those that are on, all of those that shared, that we were going to be going live. We love you guys. We got some family on. We got some friends. I got people back in Michigan that are on that I'm seeing. My grandmother, I'm not sure if she's still on, but she was on. Just love it, man. We got I see Pastor Oliver in the house. Okay, I see. We got one. Here we go. I like this. Andrea Franklin, when you're mourning yourself, what's the best way to help a manly man through the loved one? Well, here you go. You know, we've lost a lot of loved ones lately. Well, you know I have. You know me. We go back to experience with that, losing a loved one. How do you help a manly man? And so the thing with that is, and I know what she's saying, the manly man, the man that don't want to cry, that don't want to, I ain't no punk, I'm this, I'm that, I'm going to be tough. And probably late at night, he's on the inside crying, and he's hurting, and it probably means that he has difficult of showing that. How do you help them mourn? Well, you ask, first of all, what is it that I can do to help you get through this situation? That's one of the ways. I didn't do a lot of crying and didn't do a lot of that or whatever, but I was very, very thankful. I was extremely, extremely thankful for all the support that I had around me. I had, there were certain aunts, certain uncles that I could reach out to and talk to them in the middle of the night, and they would pick up the phone, answer, talk to me, love on me, let me cry if I needed to cuss, whatever it was during that time, whatever I was feeling, just allow me to be me during that time with no judgment at all, because it's difficult when it's difficult when you lose a loved one. Yeah, my Uncle Joe says, allow yourself to mourn has worked for me. Absolutely. But I think, I don't know if you saw it, I think she was talking about helping her man get through it, her manly man. So I'll let her talk a little bit about it too.
You did just go through a very hard loss of your spiritual grandfather.
Yeah.
And my husband, like I said, first of all, we had taken a trip back to Michigan, and in his spirit, he knew that he may not make it back to see him in the flesh again.
Right.
And first of all, he went back alone to the services because we all couldn't go when it happened as a family.
Right.
And giving him the space to first go be with his family. Then when he came home, I just said, like, what do you need?
Right.
He needed to be able to play his video games, go out with, one night our pastor came over and my father, Richard Curry, and they all just talked as men. Mm-hmm. And they just had man talk.
Right.
And I just let him do what he needed to do over the course of weeks. And there were times where he would come and just start sharing stories, and I would just listen. Mm-hmm. And when he was ready to talk, then I was ready to be like, oh, well, tell me more about that memory.
Right.
And so I think it's giving them the space to mourn the way they need to and not the way I would want to, which is I may want to talk about it. I may want to fall out and cry. I was trying my best not to force that on him, but also and giving him ease, like letting him, not giving him a lot of pressure during that time in terms of things around the house. Just like, okay, come in, do what you need to do.
Right.
Whatever that may be. Don't worry about this, that, and the other around the house. I feel like I was very intentional about that. But did you see that? How did that help you?
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, she did. She allowed me, and then I was absolutely sad. I was absolutely sad. I still miss Bishop Cox to the day. You know, he was that grandfather that I got to grow up with, because my natural grandfathers passed away when I was so, and I still miss him. So I got a picture over my shoulder of me and him when I was a little kid that I keep right in the living room. So it was just very important that, like she said, that she didn't force it. She allowed me to be me. I think that's one thing. We have to sometimes allow people to mourn the way that they need to mourn, as long as it's healthy, right? Because we know sometimes people mourn in ways that are unhealthy, just like we know that some people are dealing with this pandemic right now in unhealthy ways. We don't want a whole bunch of alcoholics to turn up when we get out of this, you know. So pace yourself and make sure you do things right and healthy. But I had my outlets that I use, working out, things like that, healthy ways to just mourn, get through it. And then when I was ready to talk, she was there, and she let me know that she was there. So that's what. No problem.
Piggybacking on that question, somebody asked us, how can I can't read that, baby.
How can I be the present wife and mother, the wife my husband needs, while mourning the loss of my own loved one? Oh.
Well, I first want to just say thank you guys for being so vulnerable, because this is heavy hitting. And I think as the women in the household, we have a completely different role. Like, we are a lot of times the center, the backbone, which means when we stop, a lot of things don't get done.
Right.
So I would say having the last time I had three critical losses was right before we got married.
Right.
And it was all in the course of 6 months.
Right.
And it basically shook me to my core, to the point where I was even questioning, should we go through with the ceremony? Because it just felt like so much was happening. And I had to really be able to take a step back.
Right.
I needed to be able to take a step back. So I encourage you, sister, to talk to your husband and say, look, I need a little me time, especially right now, because you can't. Last night, I just closed the door to my bedroom and I went and took a Calgon bath.
It looked like, that Calgon commercial, exactly. Calgon, take me away.
So right now it's especially hard to mourn. We just buried one of our loved ones, one of my close loved ones 2 days ago, and truthfully, I don't even think I've processed that.
Right.
And part of pulling back last night was saying, look, I just need a moment to me. Like, I don't even think I'm processing the pandemic all the way, because I'm just in autopilot.
Right.
Going back to journaling. I want you to get your journal out and release your emotions. If you can talk to your husband after the children are to bed and just cry it out if you need to. Cry it out with them. If you have your close girlfriend, say, hey, I just need to go over here in the corner or out on the patio, look out on the street or the backyard, and I just need to talk to my girls with a glass of wine.
Right.
We have to be creative, especially right now, because we can't go to the spa. We can't go visit our family and mourn together. So
or go on a vacation and get away. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and if you have a spiritual community, then right now that's also important in terms of just listening to sermons about dealing with grief. And my husband, he's one that could also talk about how, as a husband, you dealt with it in terms of me being the wife that dealt with mourning. Like, what did you do to support me in the instances you've seen me mourn?
Well, I saw there were places where I had to step up, and that's what we got to do, fellas. There were places where I had to step up, really step up and do my job. And, the things that I would normally do, but a little added here and there, nope, I'll grab the kids, I'll take them, let me go over here and do this. And now, like she said, you got to have your innovative and creative mind has got to be like pumping right now, because you really have to be able to do it all in your home or in your small space, whatever that is. So for right now, for that time, I had to just kind of step up and do some things a little extra here and there, and just take the kids or take responsibility, wash more dishes, cook some meals, and I'm not even a cook
or
order out. Right. So it was good. So I'm great at that. I can order real well. I'm perfect at ordering out. So anything that I can do. And even last night when she was having her Calgon bath, I opened the door because I didn't know where she had went off to. And I'm like, oh, I see. And she was having a moment. I closed the door back immediately. And she was like, come in. I'm like, nope. Have your moment. She was in there listening to her meditation, doing her thing, chilling. I had the kids down and everything was good. So once again, allowing people to mourn in the way that they want to mourn. But I'm going to keep saying this as long as it is healthy. As long as it is healthy. You don't want to sit by and watch somebody just wither away because they lost one. You can cry, you can cuss, you can shout, you can fuss and do all of that. Just keep it healthy. Find healthy ways to deal with loss. I think that's the best thing.
And two things that did come to me: over communicate. We do have to tell people how to love us. So for my sister mourning right now, let your husband know, like, I need you to support me a little more in this way. That's
a different Richard Johnson, Pam. That's my battle I was in the military with. He has a whole family, not the Richard Johnson we know. He ain't got no wife.
So let your husband know, look, I had to do that a couple times during this time. Look, I've hit a wall. I got to get some things done, or I need some time. I need you to just take the children. I need to do me. Right. And we got to be able to say that. And when we give it to them, they're not going to do it all neat and like we want it. The children might be eating peanut butter and jelly. They might be eating at 10 o'clock versus 7. He might be watching old clips from the game, and you like, why aren't they in the bath yet? So we got to release too. We have to release.
Yeah, I think it's just, allowing, I mean, we're still individuals, right? I know that we're in relationship together, but we're still individuals. So, and we talk about a lot of that if you get into the coaching and stuff. We won't give too much, but I think that's good. I think that, thank you, fam, everybody, for coming out with us and enjoying this. Bore you. We appreciate all that we're on. We love you. We're praying for you and your. I hope that things are going good. I hope that you're staying healthy, that you're interacting effectively. I hope that you're positive. All of those things, man. We hope that you are able to do that right now, and that you're just loving on one another. And let me say this last thing. I saw something. I don't want to end on a sad note, but I saw this thing with with the lady who lost her husband to COVID-19, and her daughter actually they were blessed to have an amazing nurse that actually, and the wife and the daughter were actually able to speak to their husband on the phone, and that was the last time they got to see him. So they lost him. They lost their husband, her husband and her father to COVID-19, right? And they were not able to be there. So not able to give him a proper burial the way I'm sure that they probably would have wanted to. It just broke my heart watching that, right? And so I'm like, we have to do this. We have to do this live tonight, because there's no way I'm going to let myself go out like that, man. There's no way I'm going to let myself go out like that at all. Love on your wives, love on your husbands, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever your significant other is, love on them. Now is not the time to be at war with one another. That's all the enemy wants, is for you to get you at war with one another. And maybe you're not a religious or a spiritual person. That's fine. But there are things out there there are people and haters out there that would not want to see you make it. Don't allow this pandemic to get the best of your relationship. Be effective in your communication. Be honest. Be true. Have fun. People are doing TikTok videos and all of these things right now. Love on one another. Smile. Love letter. Write him that love letter. Whatever. Dance through the house in your underwear if you got to. Whatever it is you need to do, make it through this time in this place, and I promise you, your relationship will be stronger on the other side.
All right, so our fam, Tasha Champion, says she can't wait till next Friday. She's pushing us to do this again. If there's a tip you want us to talk about, if there's something you guys want us to touch on, let us know. We just want to give back, and it also helps us. So when you are blessing, you get blessed, and vice versa. And we'd love to hear from some of our seasoned couples too. So we love you.
We love you guys. Stay safe. Stay safe out there. Stay indoors. Enjoy your family. This is a perfect time to really get to know your significant other, man. It really, really is. We love you guys, and we thank you for being with us today.
I'm going to thank Andrea and Shannon for their question.
Yes.
Y'all share this with other people. Let's lift one another together.
Peace.